Mike Singletary, one of my favorite Chicago Bears. Hey everybody, so my next football card video is of Mike Singletary. I loved the way he played football. Incredibly intense, and his eyes always like wide open and observing everything. You should watch some YouTube videos of Mike Singletary and his eyes. They were awesome. Okay, so I make these football card videos because of the memories they bring back to me. And Mike Singletary, he brings me back to the 1980s, especially in the mid 80s, the Chicago Bears. So, all right, let's start off with this card. It's a 1983 Topps, and it's graded an 8. And yes, I've had this card, this one. I've had it since, I want to say, the early 90s is when I picked this up. Yeah. So, I want to say, actually, it could be like 89 or 90. 1989, 1990 when I picked this card up. Because back in the 80s, I was just a young teenager and I had jobs, but I didn't make much money. And this card was already expensive, especially after the 1985 Chicago Bears. This card was expensive. So I actually didn't get it until maybe 1988 or whatever. So, but anyways, okay, Mike Singletary. My earliest memories of him. I never watched him in college. He went to Baylor in Texas, and I never watched him in college because I was too young. And then he got drafted by the Bears, and like I said, my earliest memories are of him, and I want to say 1984, before the 1985 Chicago Bears. So 1984, I remember him. And like I said, I love the way he played football. Just a super intense football player. What else? He was Defensive Player of the Year, 1985, and I think he won it twice, 1985 and 1988. And I think when he won his second Defensive Player of the Year in 1988, that's when I got his card. This one here. I'm pretty sure that's what happened. What else? Okay, so my earliest memories. I remember the 1984 Bears. They did pretty well. They went to the NFC Championship and lost against the 49ers. You know, I watched that game. And then, of course, you have the 1985 Bears, which one of the greatest teams ever. And I remember that championship game, 1985 championship game against the LA Rams, and they just beat the Rams down to it was 21-0, 24-0. They shut the Rams out. And I remember that game because, well, I'm an LA Rams fan. And I remember the Bears beating them down that game. So, and then, of course, they went on to win the Super Bowl. Let's see what else. You know, he's a Pro Bowler. He's a Hall of Famer. And I just watched him throughout the 1980s. Yeah, that Bears defense. And then he retired. And I don't remember after his retirement, he became like a businessman or something like that. But then he got into coaching. And I remember he was a linebackers coach for the Baltimore Ravens. And then he became the head coach of the San Francisco 49ers. And not only, he was an intense football player, he was an intense head coach. And there's that famous incident with the 49ers tight end, Vernon Davis. I can't play with him. Won't do it. So he brought his intensity to coaching. Um, but that didn't last too long. I guess. Uh, how can I say this? Like grown football players, they like to be intense, but there's also being overly intense and slightly disrespectful to players. So, anyways, I think those 49er players, got tired of his intensity and then they fired him. So, but anyways, Mike Singletary, I have a lot of memories of this guy. 1980s Chicago Bears. Uh, Even though I'm not a Bears fan, I did love watching Mike Singletary, one of the hardest hitters in the NFL in the 1980s.